All right. So at the top here in this first block, there's some different links that you can click on. The main link here you'll need for the exercise is the document library. This is going to be a resource for you to find documents needed for the exercise and also to find a repository for any documents that you may create. Devin did want me to point out in here that in the data folder, there's the Keystone 6 data snapshot. Just to kind of give you some scenario overview and some information that you may need for the event. Where did Devin, is there anything that you wanted to say yet?
Nope.
Devin is also in the room, but so I'm asking if he has anything else to add.
Yeah, the general information that's in that snapshot is going to be an assumption for all counties that are impacted, which we will give you that information during the scenario during the Tuesday portion of the exercise. So we want to try to keep as standard as possible in order to work on process rather than specific nuances of each county. Thanks, Travis.
And you will have a copy of this scenario in your packet when you arrive and register. Pick up your registration packet. All right.
Can I point out some specifics on here too?
Absolutely.
So also on here, there's a folder for the communications list and the organizational chart. So if you don't already know where you're assigned or exactly who you report to, or you have questions like that, this should answer a lot of those for you. So we haven't listed every single position here in the organizational structure. You can see the only agency rep that we've noted by name is PADHS, though of course we have multiple other state agency reps and PIMA representatives. We just try to simplify it so we could see, which task force is reporting to who. So hopefully that gives you a little information. And just some to note, the emergency assistance coordinator and the disaster and mental health and human services coordinator position are simulated in this exercise. So the disability integration task force and the reunification task force will report directly to the response and recovery manager. And I am that assigned position for this exercise. The mass care coordinator position is simulated on Tuesday. So everybody will report to me as the response and recovery manager for Tuesday. And then on Wednesday and Thursday, Joe Galletta is coming in from New Jersey to fill that mass care coordinator position. If you have questions about that, we can address any of those offline, but just wanted to give you a snapshot with the organizational structure. Can you open the 205, Travis? If you have any corrections to the contact information you want shared for the purposes of this exercise, this is editable. You're all in the circle of trust, so do me proud. And if you need to make an edit to your contact information, please do. But otherwise, this lists not everybody who's participating in the exercise by a long stretch, but most of the leadership positions. And if I missed anybody or if we need any adjustments, shoot me an email and we'll get that worked out. But feel free to take a look there. And then also for your awareness, we have all the event logistics contacts in here on another tab. So you probably won't need that, but just know that we have a whole additional organizational structure that's handling all of the real world details for the running of the actual event.
And on this 205, you'll notice the exercise navigator phone number is there. So should you need anything from event logistics, if you have issues with your computer or the facility or anything of that nature, you can call or text that exercise navigator phone number. You're going to see that posted in a lot of places. It will also be in your packet and on the back of your name tent, and for all of your needs, we'll do our best.
We're continuing to build out the document library still, even in the last days here. So sorry, it's not totally ready to go. A few things might get moved around, but we'll be adding additional references in there. And then when your task forces are activated, this is your place for all of your working documents. So feel free to add subfolders to empower your task force stakeholders to be working on those working documents together, chunking the work however you need, within your folder, do whatever it is you need to do to accomplish your mission.
Okay. Anything else, Christine, for the document library?
Not for me. Did you have anything else for document library, Devin? No, he's good.
Okay. As we scroll down the page here, you'll see this green box, Microsoft Forms. That's going to be our daily check-in. All exercise participants are asked to check in daily, so we know who's here. We can ensure an accurate lunch count, and in the event that should be some sort of disaster, we have an accountability roster as well. Very simple, quick Microsoft Forms. Enter your name, enter your cell phone number, preferably the one that will reach you on site here, and then hit submit. And we ask everyone to do that once a day. Again, you'll see that there is a QR code that will be posted in a number of places where you will have that as well. And we do have a question from Mike.
Yeah, Christine, I was looking on the shelter, the task force rosters, and there's not any of the Red Cross people listed on
We're
there.
having, oh,
Christine,
Go ahead, Mike.
can you hear me?
Give us 1 second. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, I was looking at the task force rosters, and there's not any of the Red Cross people assigned to those task force. They're not listed.
The task force roster, we included, I think, your headquarters folks on, there's a separate form that has the stakeholders listed. Bill just sent me the folks who are providing common operating picture from the DRO this morning. I've not had a chance to add those folks on there, but I will. I'll add them on the 205.
But my national planners aren't on there, and the pet. Then you had household pets. Roxana Petzold's not on there, so that's 4. And then there was 5 task forces we had people on, and none of them are listed.
Okay, yeah, I can add those Red Cross folks onto the 205. It was just, like I said, a limited subsect. I already knew where your folks were. That was just me assigning the other leadership positions, and some of the FEMA players needed to be assigned to different positions. So I will add them on there. It's my oversight for not including them on the 205. I'll take care of it.
All right, that means you just don't love me as much as all those other people. Yeah, it's important. From my point of view, that it's important because when the people get in there, there's a lot of new faces, and especially the task force leaders, they're going to look at this list to see who's on the task force. So we need to try to get it as good as possible. Thank you.
Yep, agreed.
Hey, Christine, it's Bill.
Go ahead, Bill.
Okay, I thought I added those to the stakeholder spreadsheet this morning. It was the one that was in the SharePoint site listed stakeholders.
Yeah, so there's a 205 and there's a stakeholder spreadsheet. So Mike is suggesting that I should list those select Red Cross players also on the 205. And I agree, that's an important addition. So I will copy paste the info that you added onto the stakeholder spreadsheet onto the 205, just so it's an at a glance as to which Red Cross people are where, if that's okay.
Okay, got it. 2 separate documents. Okay.
And Christina, I was going to tell you that when I did this, I told you in advance, the last 3 days before the exercise, the biggest problem was trying to get everybody the lists right of names. So I feel your pain.
Thanks. It means a lot. Yeah, we're doing the best we can, but there are definitely going to be some errors, of which I can take responsibility for many, but not all. So we're doing everything we can to get everybody the information we need. So if anybody's left off, it's certainly not, a malicious omission. So just give me a shout out, shoot me an email, and I will get to it when I can.
all right, we will.
Whoa.
And we're the tech savvy ones in the office. Just want to point that out.
This bodes well.
All right, so we covered the document library, covered the daily check-in on the Microsoft Forms. Scroll down a little bit further, you see these blue boxes. They are all links. That's the main point of today, is to kind of go over the links here. The submission forms on the right is where you will submit information, hence submission forms. So if there's a request for information that the task force needs, you'll click on the link for RFI and resource requests. If there's a resource request that the task force needs, it's actually the same link. That form is branched so that once you click in, you'll enter your information. I'm just going to go through some of this so you can see some of the form here. And adding this additional information just allows us to be able to contact the person who entered the form. All this group is the task force leaders, the AREPs, and the SIM cell. This is the group that should be entering these forms. We do not want everybody who is on the task force or every individual task force member to be entering all of the RFIs or resource requests. If as task force leaders, you become overwhelmed or too busy with something else, you can delegate that authority. Just be clear with who you delegate that authority to so that we don't overwhelm the system and the SIM cell and the AREPs with duplicate entries. As you go down, every task force should be listed. Just select your task force from the list. So feeding, and then here's where it's branched either into a resource request or an information request. And information, again, is because this is an exercise, if there's something that your task force needs to continue moving forward with the planning, you would just enter that here, and then we will show you how that will be processed and how you'll get a response back to that. So that one's pretty simple. Resource requests adds in a few additional questions. Description and capability of the requested assistance. So try to be specific with what you're trying to accomplish, not just what the actual item is that you're requesting. So if you could try to combine those, if you do want to put, I need a dump truck because I want to haul 3 tons of stone, then that's okay. But don't just say I need a dump truck, because then we're going to ask why you need a dump truck. And that's a very simple thing. I don't know where dump truck came from, as Britton
I'm
looks
still
at me
gonna ask
funny.
what you're gonna do with the stones.
I have a perfect place for stones. And you'll assign the priority. These are priorities that were all taken from PIMA's resource request form, so they should look familiar to many of you. Date needed and the county that you are requesting that resource request for. So my stones are life-saving. I need them yesterday, and Rehoboth Beach, Delaware.
For the beach house,
Yeah.
all right.
Built a house in Delaware, there's some landscaping needs still, so, and then you just hit submit. Again, works just like any other form. And then you can go back and submit another request if necessary. On the left-hand side, now that we just did a resource request, you'll see a resource request tracker. That's going to open up a table. This will all be cleared out before the exercise. And that should populate to this table. It's an automated process in the background, and it takes a minute for it to get through. So it's a little tough to demonstrate.
It's there. It's all the way at the bottom.
On this form. Oh, there we go. It is at the bottom there. There's an issue with the time that we are not able to solve. So you can kind of ignore the times that are on the left as far as that submission times, because as you can see, it says it was submitted at 6:15 p.m. We've not been able to overcome that, but so ignore that part. Anyhow, you'll see where the resource assistance was requested there, stones. Then whoever is handling that resource request will enter a response to that. And then once they enter that response to your resource request, they will assign it back to you. And once it's assigned back to the individual, it will generate an email to their email so that you'll know that your resource request was responded to. You also have the ability to go into the resource request tracker and look at the status for that and see if there's any notes. see if I can.
So Travis, this is Michelle. I was looking at the resource tracker as you were. I don't
I'm gonna
see
try
the
to just show
same
you the
thing.
quick email quick.
I can hear you, Michelle. I don't know if they have their volume turned up.
Yeah, I don't think so. I'm going to type
And so
something
it's an
in.
automated email from SharePoint that will look like this, just saying the assignment was changed to you. You can click on it to go to the item. It'll open it in a different window, and I can look for the response on there. And the response was no stones for me. Any questions on the resource request? And feel free as you're clicking around or watching me to go ahead and enter resource requests, get a feel for it, see how it works. And I see Matt was able to make a note on there of why. All right. And the RFI tracker, we did not submit one, but it is the same concept. The RFI will show up onto the tracker board. You can look on that, see what RFIs have been requested, to see information that was provided to other task forces that may help your task force in their planning as well. Again, they'll enter the RFI response, and then they'll assign it back to the individual who submitted it. So that way you'll get the automatic notification that it was responded to, and you can click in and see what that response was. And we have a question from Muriel.
Yeah, quick question. Task force, will everybody on the
Hold
task
on one
force?
second with that. Christine has to turn her speakers on. Sorry about that.
Okay,
Okay, go ahead.
yeah, quick question is, will everyone in the task force be able to put resource request in or only the leaders?
We only want the leaders or their designee to put in those resource requests. All right. So there's also a significant events board. So the task force can put in significant events. So we can do, I don't know, I didn't actually know. Sheltering, we're gonna do that, sure. So a shelter was opened at Shippensburg University at 1600 on 5/17. Submit that significant event. And then there is a significant events board, which you can track here, or at the bottom of the SharePoint site, you can also see some of the most recent significant events. Again, it takes it a minute for these to update as it goes through the automation. And then there's also an area, so there's also one that says agency representative significant events. So you'll see the SIM cell or the agency representatives may put something on there, and that's also where the injects will be put in there as well. So you may see an inject from the controllers to be put in there. And that will again show up on that significant events board. And it works this again the same way. So this is just saying what agency rep was putting it in, what the significant event was, name and email. Do we have any questions on significant events? And also remember, keeping in mind that that's how injects will be submitted, so that they will pop up there as well. And you can see now on the significant events board, that's where my sheltering significant event showed up.
Did you show how it's also embedded in?
I did, yep. It is not updated on the bottom. Oh, not yet. Did we have any questions about significant events? All right, very good. There's also a tab on here under submission forms called observations. And this is just providing information that you believe should be captured in the after action report. Please limit the characters to no more than 3,500. That's a lot of characters. I'm not sure who came up with that number. It wasn't me, but that's still a lot of characters. Try to be clear and concise with the information that you do put in here. You will not be able to see these. These are not populated to a dashboard anywhere. These are for after action reviews by our staff. And so you'll just type your name, the area of the observation, what task force were you working for at the time or with at the time, and then just what your observation was. Can't type. That's all stuff. That is it. So this is all pretty straightforward. That's the links, that's the submission forms, the tracking boards. Any questions on those before I hit the bottom of the page? Okay. We do have a schedule of events for Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday here.
Draft, subject to change.
And then just some other information. There's a quiet room available at the Orndorff Theater if you just need a moment to escape from the giant room full of people. It's not a place to work. It's just to go find that quiet space for a minute. And then at the very bottom, there's the schedule at a glance for the entire week, Monday through Thursday, and just kind of a broad overview of what's occurring each day. And I'm going to turn it over entirely back to Christine.
Do we want to give folks a chance to enter stuff on the forums and see how they work, and we can kick them back and around and all that? Well,
Yeah.
Somebody has a hand raised too. Muriel, we'll take your question, and anybody else, if you want to enter anything on the forums just to test, please feel free, and we'll see how it works, and we'll try and send them back to you.
You ready, Christine? My question is, will we have people that can help with computers and stuff if we can't get our computers to hook up to your system and stuff that day?
Well, so we'll have folks there on the day, but all of you, I want to make sure that all of you have access to the SharePoint before you arrive, because you're the most critical people that you can get in there and enter stuff.
I can get into your SharePoint. My concern is when we start bringing our own computers into your facilities.
We'll use whatever computer you're going to bring with you and test it to make sure you can get on that computer.
Okay, so far I can, but I'm just worried about glitches.
Yep, us too. But I hope we can work out any glitches you guys have in advance if possible. So,
And
should we?
Mike Fawcett, I've been trying to get through this Authenticator app and I'm having no luck.
Do you have a FEMA email or a?
I do have a FEMA computer I can access, yes.
Coming
from my contract account now.
I know Rich has been able to get on. Do you have a BAH email?
I do.
Talk to Rich about how he got around that, because I know some people had to get their internal IT whatever to allow it. So talk to Rich, because he accomplished that.
For that. Thank you.
So are folks entering forms? Devin, you want to go in and poke around and reply to some forms? Travis, if you want to poke around and reply to some forms.
Do you know, can you hear me okay?
Yep.
I do know, this is Matt, do you know, does the tracker automatically update? Like if I'm in the resource request tracker, or do I need to refresh it, go out and come back in? I just put one in and it isn't showing up, so, but I didn't want to do anything if I was just should wait.
You might need to refresh. All right, so we'll keep poking around and shooting forms back and forth.
Did he,
Yeah, I put a mission request in. It doesn't seem to have popped up, so I don't know.
Matt, did you do a resource request or an RFI?
I did actually, I requested information then too. Yeah, instead of when it went at the bottom, when it said, resource request or request for information, I switched to information request. So that'll pop up on a different board.
Yep. The RFI is a different tracker. And it is there.
Ah,
Because
yeah,
says who can
it
DOC con.
yeah, and that's actually real.
Great, and then Devin may be providing additional information or will be providing additional information on Tuesday to agency reps who are working there on site at SHIP as part of the simulation cell on the flow of those RFIs. So if he's receiving a whole bunch of them but he's sitting next to whoever needs to respond to them, he may just give you a verbal, hey, I want you to answer this RFI. Or if you've stepped out of the room, he may assign it to you and then you'll get an email that it's assigned to you. So he's going to manage that workflow as he sees fits to kind of scale it to the activities as things are happening on Tuesday. So we'll call an audible on that, but he will give you further instructions. Ashley, you are an agency representative for the Department of Drug and Alcohol Programs, so you can hang out with the agency representatives most of the time, but would like you to pop onto the reunification task force to address concerns for older adults, or I'm sorry, for drug and alcohol programs, residential facilities, and that sort of stuff. And both, but mostly AREP, if that answers your question.
Yep, got it. Thank you.
And you guys aren't like tied to your chairs in the sim cell too. If it's a value add to provide information about programs to a specific task force is like an educational opportunity, please take the time to do that. It's well worth it and it's a value add for our stakeholders. Any other techie questions?